just going to talk. Hello.
Hello. We were just talking and it went on live. So, hello.
Hope everyone's okay.
How is everyone doing? No, hold on.
Just go very carefully.
Yes, I'm on the broken chair. It's Wednesday, the 28th of March. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Alan Braithwaite. This is
Emily Braithwaite.
And this is Ask an Expert live.
Washing machine's finished.
Washing machine in the outside bride. Oh my days, lots of things going on my phone.
We nearly didn't even get on live. The tech failed. The
Yes.
internet went down.
It did. I had to go and reset all the routers and everything like that.
It's okay though, because if it all fails and it all goes to pot, what we can do is put a Wi-Fi hotspot on one of our phones.
We can. No one cares about that sort of
They
thing.
do care if we disappear. This is not the highlight of everyone's week.
Yeah. You don't have to put a Wi-Fi hotspot on a phone. You could just use the phone and connect. So we wouldn't actually need to tether. I have a background in technology. I love this rubbish. So
anyhow, while we're waiting for a few more people to pop on. I was in a group this week and we were discussing the phrase "pop on."
Well, when you say "pop on," I think of Mrs. Popoff from Rent-A-Ghost, but that's probably my age. So
this week. We did some. I did some filming. You set the cameras up and walked away. With
Hi Hannah,
the lovely people from Anywhere Gin and / Anywhere Deck Chairs. And
we need to say this is not a paid advert.
This is definitely not.
This
However,
is just
the
a
lovely people
gin.
at Anywhere Gin, knowing that I am a bit of a gin drinker, left me some samples to try this week. Oh, life's hard, isn't it, when you get to drink gin? And this week I am trying their strawberry gin, and I am loving it. That's not an advert. I'm just telling you what I'm doing.
Yes, no, it's good. Hannah's got a question actually. My friend's mother-in-law is taking over a wedding, but she's too scared to say anything as she's having an outdoor wedding in her garden. What would you suggest?
It's in her garden.
Oh, well, hold on. We're going to come back to that because thank you for that, Hannah. We will come back to that. We're just going to do a bit of a roundup of our week. So, very excitingly, what did we launch yesterday?
Oh.
You wouldn't think we actually planned a little bit for these chats, would you?
I didn't chat at all, plan at all.
We did. We sat there.
It's 2 minutes to 8, sit down. Yeah. Yesterday, we launched, and you may have seen it if you're in this group and you were looking through our pages as well, and we launched a product. We're actually launching 2 products, as well as all the lovely free content that we put in here with the blog, with the chats, with the discussion, all of that. We have put together a couple of things that may be of interest to some of you in here, and I do appreciate that a lot of you in this group are in varying stages of your wedding planning. Some of you may have only just got engaged, some of you might be getting married in weeks, months, whenever. So this may not be relevant to all of you. However, what we wanted to explain to you, every time I'm on live, we have put together a 2-part course. Which is an introduction to planning your outdoor wedding. Now, it's
Sorry, I had a spot or a boil on my nose. Keep going.
Sorry.
So I saw it in the light.
It's designed to take you through step by step from the very early stages of your planning, from what to do when you first got engaged, to finding the perfect venue, what to look for in terms of if you're doing it from a basic, like if you're getting married in the field,
yes.
Access and electricity, and what kind of marquees to look at, what kind of sizes to look at, depending on how many people you want coming, all of that kind of practical stuff. But the idea will be that at the end of the series, and it's a 2-part course with 2 1-hour webinars, with some PDFs and templates at the end of it to take away as well. At the end of that, you should have a framework, because I know a lot of you, we've done a poll recently, a lot of you are not working with a wedding planner, which is absolutely fine, but sometimes you need a bit of a box to start with. You always say that, don't you? You're fine thinking outside the box, but sometimes you need to start
I need
with
a box. I can't create the box, but I can think outside the box, if that makes sense.
It'll just give you a framework to get started.
Hi, Natalie.
That course is priced at $49.99. What we're doing in the first instance is we're running that as a live course. The course dates are in May. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Tuesday the 8th and Tuesday the 15th, or the week after.
Like anyway,
it's a live course, and we're taking 15 people in the first instance. And the reason we're taking only 15, and we're going to run it again, and we're going to do it as a downloadable as well, but we would like to offer the opportunity to have questions and answers, and if we have a group that's too big, Not everyone's going to get a voice and be able
Yeah,
to
the
speak.
software allows us to have like 100, but
Yeah.
that's just not.
But we don't want to do
not
that.
cool.
We want everyone, if you have questions, the whole point of it is you're asking questions to find out the knowledge to start your event planning. So we are going to keep it to 15. And if you're interested, you can do so either by clicking on the link in the group post we put on down yesterday, or it will be on the website. We are creating a shop sort of page on the website for you to do it there as well.
It's all going to be there. We just want to help you guys have mega
The
days.
second thing we are launching, which we haven't put in this group yet, is also it's going to be, what am I doing? Oh yeah, the Skype calls.
Briefly, actually, I feel.
Very, very briefly. It's going to be one-on-one Skype calls or Zoom calls if you are early stages, middle stages, a week to go before your wedding, and you're just looking to speak to an expert a little bit, just to go through any aspects of your wedding, be it to go through your timeline or you're stuck on something very specific. We're offering one-on-one Skype calls with either myself or Alan. You can pick or choose who you'd like to speak to.
Well, everyone's going to pick you. We know. Very quickly, when we do our YouTube videos, basically any YouTube video I do has a lot less views than any.
Alan's just really bitter because his burger video didn't get more than like 10.
My burger video, right? I sit there tweaking the keywords and everything on my burger video, and I cannot get the views to move organically. Actually, I think I've even posted it in groups and it's not gone up. So. Feedback taken on board. If
you want a one-on-one with us, we can offer that at a price of £99 for your first hour, with subsequent hours being £50. Again, that's what's that?
Helen's put very sad to see no pom-pom making it. Do you know what? I'm still mentally scarred from last week, Helen. It's,
now Lydia always wants them in her bedroom. I'm like, I'm not touching them. I'm not touching them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's £99 with £50 for subsequent hours. You can book as many hours as you want. Obviously, you don't have to do any of that at all. Everything on this group will remain free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will remain free. You can just use as much of that as you want.
Asking experts free.
Always going to be free. Always going to be free. But there are two options. If you're looking for something a little bit more than what we're offering on this group, they're your two options at the moment.
Right.
Anyhow, back to Ask an Expert.
Sales pitch over. Right.
Should we start with toilets?
Start with toilet. Yeah, so we're going to do a quick question. So we have a question from Hannah here in the feed that we'll come back to. Guys, is this working? I'm getting errors on my computer. So is this working? Can you give some thumbs up, likes or whatever? Because I can't see. But we've got a question from Hannah. Natalie says hi, and Helen, yes, we know. But we're going to do, there was a toilet question in the group this week. They were after for some composting toilets, and general, we got a love.
Perfect.
Thanks. There's not many watches, so that's quite a high percentage.
33%.
Yeah, 33%, thank you. So, yeah, there was, we can't, I don't know.
Basically, it's
general toilet.
Somebody getting married in their garden.
Yes.
And they were toying with either, or they don't want to have everyone traipsing through up their stairs to their one toilet in their bathroom, and they're not up for spending too much money on the luxury loo blocks because they are quite pricey, but they're not sure where to go and what to do. And there has been a lot of conversation on that thread, which we're really glad to see.
Fab, actually.
And all we're going to probably say is to mirror what they're saying is don't scrimp on toilets.
Yeah, it's the only thing I would say is like I said, this is a figure off the top of my head. Like, I have not checked this figure in probably about a year or 18 months. But last time I looked, a loo block was £600, £700, £800.
Depending on the size. Yeah.
Depending on the size, that's normally a 2+1. So that would be 2 cubicles in the ladies, 1 cubicle in the gents. With urinals for the gents. Now, for the volume that I can't remember the name. I'm ever so sorry. Mentioned, that would be more than enough. The only thing I would say is, and I appreciate actually that's not the cheapest thing to pay out for a wedding when ultimately it's just people going to the toilet, but you can get themed ones. You can get ones that look like a shepherd's hut. They're wrapped. We've seen Hollywood themed ones, 1950s themed ones, and they are very cool. And ultimately, I think one of the bits of advice I would say about getting married outdoors, there are things you're going to have to pay for, but you do not want to pay for.
Yeah, unfortunately that is the case.
And that's rubbish, isn't it? I mean, there's no, you don't want to pay for a generator, but you want a DJ, fancy lights, flushing toilets, etc., etc. So you have to pay for a generator.
And you're not going to find them cheaper. The reason they are so expensive is not because they love to spend money on loos, and it's not even because they're wrapped or they're pretty or they've got nice hand soaps. It's because of the cost of emptying, and that is a static fee. That they can't change that fee. It's the government set when you're getting rid of human waste and stuff, that is a set fee, so it cannot be much cheaper than what they're offering, apart from the fact you do get some fancier ones. You do get the ones that have lovely towelettes and stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, and someone put this on the thread, and I would mirror that, I keep saying mirror it, find ways in your budget to find that money to do it. As someone said, your favours could be X amount of money. Cut back on something, because ultimately if you've got more than 80 guests coming in and you've got your house, that's one toilet for 80 people. That's just not sustainable.
Well, there is an element of, I always assume all men are like my friends.
In the bush?
Yeah, when the sun's down and the drinks are flowing, gents are happy to use a bush in the dark corner of the area. Now, your parents may not want that in their garden, and that's understandable, but it is fair to kind of take that into consideration, and you'll know what your peer group are like. And true, Hannah, nobody likes a festival toilet. Yeah, that's very true.
The thing with festival toilets is that, yes, they look like festival toilets. And yes,
hold on, we're talking about a specific drop toilet.
Oh no, I'm thinking about the ones that, like you get just the plastic boxes. Like
no, that's a portaloo.
Oh, portaloo. Portaloos, right? Even though people think they're mink manky as well, at the end of a weekend when you've gone camping to a festival as well, they can be grotty. People mist around the edge. You're only going to have that for one day, and you've got to remember that between. I'm only giving. I'm
trying to find the bride specifically said bride to be Shell Mary Rose Lyons. She specifically said she didn't want those plastic portaloos. But
this is for other people who might.
Yeah, that's true.
Is you're only having that for one day. It's not an entire weekend. If you're getting married from 3, it's an afternoon, evening kind of affair. That's not going to be a lot of use for the entire weekend, like some festival toilets might get to, and they get grotty. So, yes, they're not as pretty, but they are a consideration as well, and I wouldn't discount them, especially if you're in a back garden, depending on your access, because you've got to be able to get them to your back garden. You may have a wide gate to get through. Some people forget that, and they think, how am I going to get a trailer into my garden? So you need to think about all the possibilities.
It is a bit of a... I have a festival loo story that I will save for another time, from 1998 when I was at Glastonbury. And I will say that was one of the rainy, muddy years, if anyone, 97, 98, really rainy, muddy. But we'll save them for another time. Anyway, let's go back to Hannah's question. I've been trying to jump round actually here. It's the tech is not working its best today.
My arm. That's very antisocial. Sorry.
Yes, so Hannah says, yes, Hannah, yes, absolutely. My friend's mother-in-law, to be, I presume, is taking over her wedding, but she's too scared to say everything as she's having an outdoor wedding in her garden. What we said. Now, this is interesting. We've covered parents and in-law to be before. It's tricky. It is tricky, isn't it? And I know of some brides who have been going through themselves as well, who will remain nameless. Yeah, because there is a traditional element, isn't there? There is the traditional aspect that the father and mother of the bride may be paying for a large amount of the wedding. And we know of weddings where, because they were paying, they invited X amount of their guests, which included, the one I'm specifically thinking of included the dad's boss from work, which probably the daughter had never met before. It is an absolute minefield, parents. The only thing I'm a clear communicator. I mean, contrary to any popular beliefs, I'm an absolutely clear communicator. I believe in sitting down, delivering what's going on, and kind of trying to reach a compromise to get by it. There's always going to be an exception. It's difficult with mother-in-laws, though. Well, yeah, my mother-in-law's a dragon. You should meet her. She's all right.
When you think about people in the wedding party, you've got the father of the bride. He has a role. The mother of the bride, she has a role. She's a focus in that. If you're going to a church or anything like that, she walks down. Everyone goes, "Oh my goodness, look at her hat! It's amazing!" And they look at the mother of the bride as an outfit, and they go, "Ooh ah!" The groom's parents can often get overlooked, and especially if it's a mother-in-law on the groom's side, they don't have. I don't know if she's got brothers or sisters or anything like that, but ultimately that could be the only chance she gets to be part of the girly side of getting married. And I've had friends have to deal with mother-in-laws who want to come to all the dress fittings and do this and do X, Y, Z, and it's really awkward because ultimately some things are personal to a girl and their own mum, and sometimes you've got to think, oh yeah, but ultimately they're just doing it to get involved because they want to get involved. It
is one of those tricky ones, isn't it, where it's all about love and being involved and niceties at the end of the day.
However, it is one of those things that you need to nip in the bud sooner rather than later, because you will end up resenting, and you do not want to resent. Ultimately, it's whoever's it's your friend's wedding day. They're going to hopefully only do this once. You're going to have a vision for what you want. It could be very different to what parents always think, and as we said in the previous video, it's all about, and as a communication, making sure that your ideas are heard, they're presented, and you don't deviate from what you want. There might be some compromises, and unfortunately, if it's in your friend's mum's garden, or in the mum's garden, they get a little bit more, they think they have more control over the event, but stand firm on your choices. Things like we had Chinese, but if the mother-in-law wanted Indian, we would never have gone, no, we'll have Indian, because that's what we want. But
if she says, I don't mind a portaloo, you don't need a portaloo block or whatever, then really it's not worth an argument over. No. The other thing, I mean, you can give them, look, this is mind games at the end of the day, let's be brutally honest. So you could give them, and we're all clever, so some people are just going to realise it, and some of us are going, oh, that's lovely. But by giving them some jobs to do may stop them from getting involved in other jobs.
That's a really good idea.
So mum to be, could you please sort out the toilet block? And she's going to sort that toilet block out to the best of her ability. So in some respects, it's that rather than pushing them away because they're annoying, actually bring them in closer and give them jobs to do.
I think we recently watched, for whatever reason, we watched Bad Mums 2. Now I know that's not wedding related, and it's really quite bad.
And it's a Hollywood film.
Yeah, I know, but probably most of you won't watch it because it's crap.
No, I 5p, thumbs up or hearts if you've seen Bad Mums 2, Bad Mums at Christmas or something like that.
Oh,
no one's seen it. Okay,
no one's seen it.
My bad.
But in that, the principle of that story is there's a mum and the daughter, both with very different ideas on Christmas. And one wants red decorations, and she goes out of the house for the evening and comes back, and the mum has completely changed it to blue decorations.
Kim's seen it. Thanks, Kim. I knew I liked you. That was meant to be a wing, but it looked like a grimace. Yeah, keep going. Tell the story.
So she's changed completely, and she had no right to do so. And I think that's the kind of analogy I would say is that your ideas and what you want, don't compromise on. Absolutely, that mother-in-law decided she wanted peonies rather than roses, or whatever. Absolutely not. That's not her place. But give her key tasks. Give her something like, I don't know, can you source? Can you make favours? Can you do this? Can you be in charge of? Give me something easy. Lawn games. Can you be in charge of organising lawn games? Thank you, Alan, for really helping out there. Great, thanks.
Tables and chairs. Something that
there's no way of personalising too much is important. Tables and chairs are a great one. Yeah. Tables and chairs. You need to have tables and chairs most of the time.
Get them to sort the power out. that power. Power's got an easy answer, but if you want it to be 100% correct, it's a little bit more complicated. I mean, if you want an easy answer, you just get a big generator and it solves it.
Give her a clipboard.
Yeah, give her a clipboard. Get her to arrange the not the evening entertainment. No.
We went to one, and we didn't. I heard from them. Sorry, getting mixed up with my stories. They got there and she changed the band at last minute because she didn't like the style of band, and she booked a separate band, and they were Cossack dances.
Do I know this?
It was a Russian.
Don't mention names.
She'd organised Cossack dances, and the bride and groom were like,
I think that's kind of cool though.
They did not appreciate it.
Yeah, that's true. We had like a rock pop band going, so I don't really want to replace that for Cossack dancers.
Anything else from anyone else?
Anyway, sorry. If anyone's got a question, please drop it in. We've got Easter coming up. I'm off to the Lake District with Scouts for the 17th year in a row. Kim says, this worked for me. I nearly said MILF. My mother-in-law was very distant during our planning and she didn't want to interfere. So we asked her to do our cake. She's a great baker and help with the flower arranging and work to treat.
That's a great one.
Exactly.
Great one. And give them something, not nothing. Because if you can completely cut them out, they'll resent you.
Yes.
You'll resent them.
Yes.
It'll all be a bit bitter.
Yes.
She'll sit there and get drunk on the end of the table on the day and just be going, this is rubbish. Give her something of
We got a thumbs up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Give her some sort of responsibility that won't impact too much if it goes differently to what you want. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, anyway, you're off to the Lake District.
I'm off to the Lake District for 17th year in a row. Probably my last one at Easter, if I'm honest.
I am starting the Baylily season without Alan.
Yes, our first job of the weekend,
first job
a
of the
year,
season,
and I'm not here.
Alan is gallivanting.
I do feel for you, actually. I genuinely would rather be here. You know I would, but I'm sort of semi-committed. But obviously you can back out of everything, but it wouldn't be easy.
He's really trying to.
No, not even vaguely. So it will be cool.
And
yes.
I did some Facebook Lives today on Baylily and on some Instagram feeds about what I've talked about earlier about our courses and
Wearing
stuff.
this jumper, which seems to be the most popular jumper ever.
This item of clothing seems to be causing the most amount of engagement
Which,
today.
as your husband, can I just say, for me, that's like one of her like skanky jumpers she wears in the evenings rather than one of her smart jumpers.
I think it is great.
No, it is fab. It is fab.
You cannot.
You're going to get women's solidarity coming up
Ladies,
now. So
what would you wear? Flamingos?
I've got flamingos on.
Oh yeah, no, you haven't.
What you mean? That
flamingo? Pink flowers.
That flamingo right there.
But who knew wearing a flamingo field jumper would have so much conversation?
Love.
And you cannot fail to be happy when you're wearing flamingos.
That is true. That is true. Right, come on then, let's finish off. So we'd like to thank all of you for coming online tonight. The numbers have been going up and down, so I don't really know how many we've had on. And when it said like 1 or 2 or 3, we actually had comments from more than 3. So no idea. Where can you save money on an outdoor wedding if it's getting too expensive?
Easy. So
I was going to save it for next week.
No, we'll do it now because
we're over 20 minutes. Go.
Sorry. Things that cost you the most money. We'll start with that, and then you can work out what you don't need. And it will depend. I will give you an example on a baseline field, nothing else in that field. You cannot compromise. And I appreciate that country gardens and that kind of stuff might have different boundaries and stuff, things you might already have in place. But when you get married, you're going to need to have.
You know, you said this was going to be a quick answer. Go.
Land hire. You can't get over that. That's going to be a cost. Some sort of temporary structure, be it TP, marquee, whatever, if you are...
Thanks, Louise.
Good. If you're braving the weather and you're not going to... That's up to you. But a marquee or structure will cost you the money. Electricity will cost you the money. A generator cannot be forgotten if you're in the middle of a field. Water supply, if you haven't got running water to that field, that's going to cost you money. You can't get away from that. Toilets you have to spend money on. Catering you need to spend money on, but you can be clever with your catering. You don't necessarily have to have 2 meals in the day. Yeah. You can time your day. I would say think about your timings of your event. If you were really skint on a budget, don't have a 12 o'clock wedding, have a 3 o'clock wedding, because then you've got 3 hours less to fill of things. I would say...
You can't say skint, you have to say on a budget. Keep going.
If you're on a budget, skint. You end up skint at the end of a wedding.
You do end up skint.
So just roll with it. You don't need to have loads of fancy decorations, indoors, outdoors. You don't need to have the big love signs that everyone seems to have. They're nice, you don't need to have them. You don't need to have a live band.
Bare bones we're talking.
You don't need to have a live band. There are other ways of having musical entertainment in the evening. You can do things on playlists.
We did go to a wedding once where basically there used to be part of iTunes called iTunes DJ on the phone. It doesn't exist anymore. I think there's a variation of it, and literally we all chose what song was next from a limited amount.
Yeah, and the thing I would say as well, and we've covered this on several of these already, people, when they are planning this large scale event and they think of it for years, and I say it's every single week, they have a Pinterest board in their head that they're literally trying to spill out onto an actual event. You do not need to have every single element of that Pinterest board on your field with your marquee.
Unless you want to.
Of course, if you want to, but you don't need to. We're talking about budgets here. Yeah. Less is more. People don't need to be entertained to the second of the entire day, because how many weddings have you gone to where you've had yourself a drink, you're talking to Joe Bloggs there, you haven't seen them for years, you're walking over there, John Smith says that helmet, and you have that time to feel yourself. You don't need to have games at this time, bouncy castle at this time, magician at this time, blah 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 blah, X, Y. You don't need that. So get your basics covered. If you're on a budget, get your basics covered, get your head covered, get your feet, your face fed, get a bar, Don't always do your own bar. Get a bar company to come in. A lot of bar companies these days will do free bar hire, and they'll just take money off the bar from bar sales.
Yeah, they sort of
you don't need to have.
We've just had a point. Louise has said, and I'm amazed at quotes given by florists. Hard to keep the cost down, really. And you won't. I mean, a florist cost is a florist cost.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do something different, so there was a post in the Outside Bride in the past week, I think, where they had gone, I'm trying to think of the word, they'd gone and got their own foliage and bits from the forest. They'd got some ivy and some holly and made some bits and bobs with that. So you're not going to be able to get a florist quote down because a florist price is a florist price.
Flower market. Go to your flower market.
But if you want to do it yourself or want to source your own natural products, then you may be able to, adjust that price.
One of my September brides is doing just
foraging, that's the word, Charlotte. Charlotte, thank you.
One of our September brides is doing just that. They're not doing anything. They're having burlap tables, and then they are literally going to go and they're on a campsite. They're going to go and get as much greenery as they can with a wheelbarrow on the day before. Yeah. And there's things you can do like that. You don't need to have loads of flowers, and floristry is expensive because for us, I really wanted to have cornflowers because cornflowers were in my mum's bouquet, and I really, really, really wanted cornflowers, but we got married in September. They're not, it depends on when they're growing, so they can be more expensive. I didn't want to scrimp on that. I wanted cornflowers. We got cornflowers, but there was a price to pay with that as well. Just think about what you're having with your flowers, what time of year you're getting married, what's going to be locally grown and what's going to be easy to source, and then try and make your bouquet around locally grown flowers that aren't having to be flown in from every other country.
Yeah. Like we saw very quick, we do really need to wrap up because we don't want these being this long. So Kim's she had a bride grow their own flowers with their mother. We did a wedding once in a back garden, and they timed the wedding to the flowers
in their beds.
Yeah, in the beds they had tulips and all sorts.
So spring wedding.
If you think about the end of March, we've got in our garden the blossom coming on the trees and some daffodils floating around. So actually, if you do have green-fingered parents or a green-fingered venue, then you could time it to what's actually there. Or don't have flowers.
Flowers have something alternative to flowers.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Okay. So that's it. We have covered, for those who have just come on, we've covered budgeting, flowers, we've covered toilets, we've covered, there was a bit in the middle, managing parents. Tricky one, no real answer, just things to try. But that's it. So we'd like to thank you all very, very much for coming online today. Thank everyone for their positive comments about Emily's jumper in the lives on Baylily Bell Tents, Outside Bride, Facebook and Instagram. And we look forward to chatting with you next week.
And if you're interested in any of the things we've talked about at the beginning of the video in terms of our products, feel free to if you can't see it, drop us a line and we can signpost you to the right place. We're happy to help.
Absolutely. What was the last thing I was going to say? Obviously, always this goes on YouTube. Go and check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Baylily Bell Tents. You can watch all of these as well as in this group, and please subscribe. Click on the 3 dots over there and turn on notifications and everything else we're told when we Google how to do Facebook Lives really well. All right, thanks very much everyone. Good evening. Bye. Bye.